Hello and welcome to the space. I am Shawn Claxton, founder, creator, CEO of the space, the place where we talk all things growth, change, and transformation. And we do that natural, spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional. I am glad that we are together. And as we begin to enter the month of March, I wanted to talk today about us having movement. And in order for us to continue to grow, to change, and evolve, that requires movement. It is the month of March, and we will be talking about marching with movement. Marching with movement. That is a part of what we have to do. In order for us to get there, we have to know that growth cannot stay in the place where comfort lives. Again, growth can't stay in the place where comfort lives. And so, if you're comfortable being where you are, you're going to have to release that place of comfort so that you can grow. Because in order for you to change and evolve, you have to let that place grow. And so, let's talk about movement. And what does movement require from us in a place of spirituality, in a natural place? How do we move? How do we grow? How do we evolve? We can do that, but we have to be willing to grow and to let the place of comfort go, to let the place of comfort grow so that we can begin to grow. In Isaiah, the 43rd chapter and the 19th verse, God says to Isaiah, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." We have to understand that movement can often be misunderstood. Movement is often uncomfortable. Movement does not often come with smiles and giggles, but movement does produce fruit. It does produce growth. It does produce, but we have to be in a place where we want to move and not stay in the same space. Many of us assume that growth has to always be dramatic, that it's physical, that it's loud, that it's boisterous. And that's not always the case. Sometimes movement is quiet, it is slow, and it's necessary, and it's steady. But it does not often have to make a lot of noise. But one thing we do know is that movement is transformational, it's quiet, it's intentional, and movement comes long before we may see the fruit or we may see the outcome. Movement is happening. Movement is not always obvious to everybody else that's around us, but movement, as we said, is necessary. And sometimes the greatest shifts happen in our thought patterns. Our minds have to be changed. Our minds have to be renewed. Our boundaries have to be expanded. And sometimes our boundaries have to be narrowed because too much is in the space, and we've got to narrow the boundary, not to let so many things be in the place. Shifts happen in our healing, shifts happen in our discipline, and they also happen in our obedience. Remember, this is the month of March, and we are moving, we are making strides so we can make sure that we are growing, we are changing, and we are evolving. God moves before we recognize movement. Many people are waiting for loud sounds. They're waiting for the wind to blow. They're waiting for the whistles, and they're waiting for all these things. But if we would stop and wait and hear the voice of God, we would wait and hear Him, we will see the direction that He is moving, and we can go according to how He is leading and guiding us to go. We can't expect movement to always be dramatic. There is a place that movement is calm and it's quiet, it's quaint, it's spiritual still, but it's in that intimate place with Him, that place that it's just you and God. It's just me and God. Sometimes tears come with movement. Misunderstanding often comes because we feel that He has left us and we don't understand what He is doing in that space. Oh, but there's transition taking place in the space. One thing we know is that we don't always get immediate results when it comes to movement. But if we stay true to the call, if we will stay in the place, He will show us. He will bring us to the place of fulfillment so that we can continue to grow. And it's important for us to know that before environments change, our heart has to change. How our heart is beating, what we allow in and out of our heart, it has to change because we can't take the old heart posture, the old mindset, the way we used to do things. We can't take that into the new place. So our environment, our heart, our mental capacity has to change and in order to allow us to grow. Before there is elevation, there comes alignment. Before there is elevation, alignment has to come. And when alignment comes, it allows us to grow. It allows us to change. An alignment on a car gives what? Our car a smoother ride. Well, same thing about our life. When alignment comes, there's a smoothness that comes. Even when we may be going through bumpy terrain, it's good to know that the shepherd is right there with us. Psalms 23 tells us that the Lord, He is our shepherd. He leads and He guides us. Sometimes we think He's just our shepherd when there's smooth terrain, but no, in the rocky terrain, in the hilly terrain, He is still the shepherd that is leading and guiding us. And He provides alignment in all the terrains of our life. We have to remember that movement is already happening, even when others around us can't see it. Can't you feel the pull? Don't you feel the push when things are happening? Even when we haven't begun. I know that I am in the midst of something big right now, and I can feel the push when I need to go and to get into the word, when I need to get back onto my computer and I need to study, when I need to read. And I can also feel the pull of God saying, hey, I need you to get with me. I got something to say. I need to download. So when we allow ourselves to get into the place of movement, we can feel the push of God in our back, and we can feel His tug and His pull when He's pulling us a little closer. It's all about movement. Sometimes movement looks like healing. Sometimes movement looks like boundaries, whether we're expanding or we're narrowing in the boundary. Sometimes movement is thinking differently, but it's all movement. And since nothing goes unwasted, it's important for us to know what is going on in those seasons of our life when movement is happening, when healing is happening, even when we've been broken and we've got to go and we've got to ask the Father to heal us. We've got to go through those seasons, because if we don't go through the season of being healed, we won't be healed. And so healing is necessary on the journey. Boundaries are necessary on this journey. And how we think and grow and evolve, it is necessary on the journey. We can't always recognize it in the moment. Oh, but if you write it down and you take note of what's happening, you will be able to look back and say, oh, it was good for me that I had been afflicted. Oh, I'm glad I went through that situation. Why? Because the movement in that situation caused me to grow and to develop. It caused me to be a better woman. It caused me to be a better man. It caused me to be an author. It caused me to be a supervisor. It caused me to be a better wife. It called me into being a better husband. It called me into being whatever the assignment is for that season. But you have got to know that movement is necessary. It may even feel a little scary. But remember, you don't have to live in the place of fear, because he doesn't allow fear to consume us. Why? Because he gives us a sound mind. And so we can even take those things to him and say, God, this is feeling a little scary. This is feeling a little uncertain. How do I operate in this assignment? And the great thing about God is he'll lay it out for us. It may be in small increments, small doses, but when we rest in him, he directs our path. He makes the crooked place straight. So I want to encourage you on today not to get lost. Don't you stop moving. Don't you quit going forward because he is directing your path. Point one, let me share this. God moves in uncomfortable spaces. That means if you're waiting for him, you are a prime candidate for what he is going to do. If you could do it all yourself, if I could do it all myself, we wouldn't need him. But we need a God that can help us navigate this terrain, that can help us go through the spaces in which we can call on him. I am making a way, the word says, in the wilderness. And the wilderness represents unfamiliar territory. So you don't have to understand the territory because he said he's making a way. And if he's making a way, I just have to allow myself to get into the place where he can be glorified, where he can be honored, where he can be exalted. And when he is exalted, he fixes those things that I don't understand, and he allows his word to be manifest. And then we can minister, witness, and share with others the goodness of who he is in our life. It is the place where old strategies stop working and new dependencies begin. I'm going to say that again. The place in God is the place where old strategies stop working and new dependencies begin. That means we are depending on him. We are depending on his guidance. We are depending on his wisdom. We are depending on his love. We are depending on his understanding because we don't know it all. And so it's necessary for us to rest in the wisdom of the Father, to rest in the understanding of the Almighty God. That is where we need to rest. Deuteronomy 8:2 reminds us that God leads us, and there he reveals to us our heart. He reveals to us their hearts. When we get in the place, we can rest in God, and he will open up the thing that we need to know. Sometimes growth requires environments that will stretch us. Sometimes growth requires environments that will stretch us. I remember a time when I used to work and the stretch was so hard. The pull was so hard. I didn't understand it. And immediately, what did I want to do? I wanted to retreat. I wanted to quit. I wanted to go find something different. But I was able, with the help of the Lord, with the help of other people, with the help of wisdom, that I stayed there. And on the hindsight, they say is 2020, on the other side of the challenge, I was able to say, oh, I have learned something new. And it's something now that I can use. That stretch pulled me. I didn't like it at the time. You may not like what you're going through at the time, but I always ask, as I say often, God, what do I need to learn in this situation? How is this situation going to grow me? What am I going to be able to take away from this situation? Oh, we are marching in the month of March in movement. What can you take away from this situation? Don't you fall. Don't you quit. Don't you give up. Because there is something for you to learn. Somebody needs you. Somebody needs what you are going to learn in this situation. Tears may be rolling. You may be upset. You may be angry. You may be disappointed, but he bottles up every tear. Don't you forget that God has you covered and he will never leave you, nor will he forsake you. He knows exactly what you need. Our job is to make sure that we continue to go and seek the Father for guidance, spiritually and naturally. New responsibilities feel unfamiliar. New territory seems unfamiliar. Healing sometimes feels uncomfortable when you've been used to being injured, if you've been used to being in a place of chaos. Quiet feels uncomfortable, but the more you walk in it, the more you live in it, it will become your new place. It will become the place that is familiar. And once what was unfamiliar now is familiar. Think of the time when you started a brand new job and you felt overwhelmed trying to learn all the lingo, trying to understand the computer programs, trying to learn what they were teaching you. 6 months down the road, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, you're able to understand and rattle off that very thing that you thought was going to take you out, that felt uncomfortable. And now you're the teacher, you're the supervisor, you're the one helping the new person coming in. And you can what? Empathize with how they feel because you were what? You were once there. So it's so important that though it may feel unfamiliar right now, down the road, once you have grown, you have marched, you have done movement, what once was unfamiliar, now that you have grown, now that you have been stretched, you are familiar with it and you are able to share and you are able to allow someone else to understand that had it not been for the Lord who was on our side, he is the one that brings us through. Growth feels uncertain while you are in that dark place, while you are in the place of sprouting. But once you have sprouted, once you have grown, now you are in the place where you are evolving. So don't you uproot your own self in the place of growth. You have got to stay in the place so that you can grow, change, and evolve. Even when there is discomfort, there is still growth and development happening. Even when you feel uncomfortable, there is still growth and change happening. Your wilderness may actually be your transition corridor. And many times, our wilderness, while we are going through that uncomfortable place, that uncomfortable terrain, while you are moving through it, it is your transition walkway. Keep pushing because you won't always be in this place. It won't always feel like this. A favorite song of mine. The Lord will perfect that which concerns me. And the song says sooner or later, but I like to say sooner than later, it'll work in my favor. He's turning it around. He's taking us through. For me, he is going to do that thing that seems and feels impossible. Another point, movement is not always visible. Many of the greatest shifts they're happening down on the inside of us. They're happening internally. Jesus grew for years before his ministry ever became public. He was hidden. He was doing things. But when his ministry became public, what? He had already been in the quiet places. He had already been in the place of the build up. So why? So he could handle when he got out. Why? Because he had been with his heavenly Father. How much time are you spending with the Father so that he can build you? He can transform you. He can grow you from the inside out. Luke 2:52 says, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature. And he wants us to do the same thing, to grow in wisdom and stature. And the only way we do that is when we spend time with him, when we get into his word, when we take the things that we're going through and realize that he's not doing it to injure us, but he's doing it to grow us. He's doing it to help us evolve. He's allowing us to grow so that we can be stretched. No, stretching doesn't feel good, but it does produce good dividends. It does produce good reward. Growth happens quietly. Not all growth is loud. Not all growth is seen by everybody else. Sometimes we feel like growth isn't even seen with our own two eyes when we're looking at our own self. But if we keep on the path, eventually we can look back and we can say, look where I have come from. And we can look because we can see that we're no longer in the space or the place where we once were. It's not necessary all the time for the people around us to notice that we are maturing or that there has been spiritual discipline or that our mind is being renewed. But eventually, guess what? They will see it. Eventually, we see it. We can hear it. Our talk changes. Our language changes. Our worship even changes. And we don't stay in the place of feeling like God is doing something to us, we begin to see, that he is doing something what? Through us. He is doing something through us. A point for us to remember is that silent progress is still progress. It may feel like it's silent, but it is still progress. And sometimes God hides us to protect the investment. He hides us to protect what is going down on the inside of us. He hides us so that we're not off talking about all the things that are going on. He hides us in a cocoon until we are ready to come forth, till we are ready to burst out like the eaglet that is coming out of the shell, the butterfly that is coming out of its cocoon. It had to stay in until it was ready and its wings were developed. Sometimes he has you hidden. Why? Because you need to fly. And if you are out in the open, you'll never be developed. This is a developmental journey, and God is constantly working on us. He's constantly working on you. He's constantly working on me. And he is constantly making a way so that we can grow and we can develop. This means God specializes in innovation. He specializes it in innovations. He's evolving us from the inside out. It's just for us to stay in the place. Why? Because Proverbs 3:5 tells us that he directs our steps, and we need our steps directed. We need them guided by the Father. We don't need to guide our steps. We'll mess it up. We'll fall. We will stumble. We will hit our face every time. We'll trip over our own feet. We will trip over our own ideas. We'll trip over our own thoughts. But when we allow him to orchestrate our steps, he leads us in the path for his name's sake. And that is where we need to be. Some doors close, and when they close, it's okay, because God creates new doors. He creates new access paths for us. Is he trying to create something new and you are trying to hold on to the old? I don't know. But you need to know that if he has closed the door, stop jiggling the handle. Stop trying to put the key in the lock and unlock it and open it and pull it open. He closed it for a reason. Even when it hurt, even when you were crying about it, leave that door alone. He has created new access paths for you, and he is ready for you to walk in the new path that he has created for you. Remember that movement requires trust, trusting in him daily, trusting in how he is leading and orchestrating your path. You may not see it, but that doesn't mean that he is not working. You have to make sure that you are walking by faith and not by sight. Walking by faith, not by sight. Keep walking by faith and not by sight. And when you have nothing but your faith, that is more than enough. Faith moves mountains. Faith moves mountains. And our God is a mountain mover. We just have to operate in a place of faith. We read earlier that about the streams and the wasteland, Some of us probably need our waistlines moved, but we're not talking about that today. Streams in the wasteland means restoration. The wasteland represents depletion, emotional exhaustion, spiritual dryness. We have mental fatigue. But when we trust in God, God promises us that we will have an everlasting streams. Streams mean that there is ongoing renewal, not just temporary relief, but there is a flow to the stream. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Psalm says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Why? Because he is right there with me. I don't know what your stream looks like, but when we get in the place where we allow his constant stream to be what we need, we will get everything that he has promised us. And that stream does not dry up. It does not run dry. John 7:38 says, rivers of living water will flow from within. Someone is in need of the river of living water that flows from the inside out. We get that when we spend time with Him, when we rest in Him. He is constantly restoring our strength, He is constantly renewing our mind. I don't care how drained you were and or have been. We all go through periods and places of being drained, mentally fatigued, overwhelmed. But when we get into the place where He is, when we get into that place of worship, He renews us with the strength like He renews the eagle. And when He renews us, it prepares us for capacity. That's what that stretch is about. He stretches us and gives us new capacity to live, new capacity to be, new capacity to soar into the unknown. And so I want to admonish you today, don't get into the place and stay there, the place of fatigue, the place of feeling like nobody cares about you, because our God cares. We are in the month of movement. We are moving this month. We are doing something different. We are jumping in and we are pressing toward the mark of the prize of the high calling. That is our job. We are moving. And not only is He preparing us, He's giving us clarity and vision so that we can keep moving. Because why? Movement requires participation. It doesn't just require preparation. You've got to be an active participant in the movement. God makes the way, but we still have to walk that way out. We have to walk out what He is showing us. Movement requires a response from us. He gives us the preparation. He'll show us the path. And then we have to be willing to what? Move in the direction that He is showing us. Joshua had to step into the Jordan in order for them to move. He had to step. And so I want to require you to step, to make a move. I want you to bust a move. You can't just be stagnant and always thinking about what you want to do, but you have to be willing to move. Faith moves forward even when uncertainty is not always clear. When uncertainty is not always clear. James 2:17 tells us faith without works is dead. So in this month of March, I want you to ask yourself, what step have you delayed because it may feel small, because you may not have had all the clarity, because you were waiting to see the big picture? And with God, we have to make a step. And then He gives us more clarity. Sometimes He gives us the whole plan. And even when we have the whole plan, if you don't move, the plan is just a plan. If you have a whole business plan and you don't ever execute the business plan, you just have a business plan. So that means you've got to get out there and you've got to begin to make the move. You've got to begin to have the conversations about healing before you can ever heal. You've got to have the conversations about discipline before you can walk in the place of having good discipline. Obedience is what we have to do because we want to walk into the spaces and the places that God has set before us. So I want to encourage you, small movements activate divine momentum. Small movements activate divine momentum. It's not about rushing. It's not about jumping. It's not about running and having all the gusto. It's about staying consistent in the process. It's about intentionality, being intentional in this space. Some of us are moving emotionally. Some of us are moving spiritually. Some of us are moving mentally. And some of us are using all of that so we can move in the place of spirituality. We cannot get stuck. We have to make sure